Gaining MMR can be difficult, but now I feel like I've learned something that I can take to my games, and I feel like I have a really good chance of gaining some MMR and winning some games. Welcome to the show. This is Climbing the Ranks with TiirthaDeva. My name is TiirthaDeva, and I'm your host throughout this journey. Today it's the third episode, and we're gonna cover the late game phase of the game for the carry. Today's topics are how to take team fights, how to use the Aegis, and how to go and defend the high ground. On the next video, you will see my live gameplay from Twitch. If you wanna see how I implement these tactics and strategies, go check it out. And if you wanna follow my journey and come interact with me, learn some Dota and have some fun, come to my live gameplay at Twitch at TiirthaDeva. Now, without further ado, let's hop into the episode. How to take team fights. There's usually few questions that you wanna ask yourself prior to the game. First would be, does my team want to take short or long fights? Meaning that if our team has a lot of bursty damage and we want to burst a hero down in the start of the fight to gain advantage, or vice versa if we have a lot of damage over time and we want to prolong the team fights. To answer this question, you want to ask yourself what my hero is good at. Let's take a TA for example. TA has a lot of single target damage and wants to burst down a hero in the start of the fight to gain an advantage. And on the opposite, let's take a look at Venomancer. Venomancer has a lot of damage over time and wants to prolong the team fights. So now we want to think about that what stops me from doing what I want to do. For example, for the TA, if TA gets disarmed or stunned, she cannot do what she wants to do. The fourth question would be then that how do I fix that issue? Usually, a lot of the times, a BKB helps. There's many options usually, but then you have to figure out, look at the game, that how do I fix it then in this particular game. Now let's look at a pro gameplay and how do they address these questions. Alright, we are here at Blast Jam 6 looking at Team Falcons versus Extreme Gaming. Now keep in mind that do we want to take short fights or long fights? We're gonna be following Skeeter's Sven, but in general sense, Team Falcons looks like they have a lot of burst damage, especially Skeeter. Sven wants to burst down a hero in an instant. And so I would say Team Falcons prefer to have short fights to gain an advantage. And on the other hand, the Extreme Gaming, they have a little bit of a mix of everything. Ursa wants to burst down a hero, but then Kunkka and Razor wants to do the damage over time. So they have a little bit of a mix of everything in their lineup. But now following the Sven, the Skeeter, Sven is really good at bursting the hero down in an instant. So now we want to ask ourselves that what stops me from doing that in this particular game. There's only one stun from Tiny. So the bigger problem is the Razor's Link stealing the damage and Kunkka's Boat stealing also the damage. So I would say kiting these two abilities or bursting a hero down and then kiting is going to be key winning the team fights, in my opinion, for the Sven in this game. Now let's hop into the team fights and see how Skeeter does it. So now we are here at 28 minutes into the game, and Extreme Gaming gets the jump with Tiny, and they get the link in. Like I mentioned, that this is really bad for the Sven losing the damage, so they just need to kite. But Ursa finishes Sven down, and this is gonna be advantage for the Extreme Gaming. So in this particular game, I feel like it's very important which team gets the jump, because both of the teams have good damage, bursting damage. So vision is going to be essential for this game to get the jump and get the win and get the advantage in the team fights. 30 minutes in, this is the second example. Star breaks out on the triangle. But Sven doesn't have ulti, so he wants to look for an opportunity if he can go in, but he doesn't really want to commit. Now he sees a Warlock, but gets Link. So now he needs to kite, so he doesn't lose all the damage. So he DKBs and runs away. And now he's have ulti, so he feels comfortable since Ursa is here by himself. And burst the Ursa down. And now Team Falcons win the team fight outright and get the Rose. So Sven, it's very important to have the ulti and BKB so he can do the massive damage and burst and hero down. Other than that, he was doing great by kiting the Razor's Link. And now that's the recipe for the team fight win. Now for the third example, 37 minutes in, they see Razor on the high ground. Marcy goes in. And Sven BKB ultis and goes in and bursts the Razor down. But like I mentioned, the vision was key, that they saw the Razor, that they could get the jump and burst the hero down. And now it seems like it's game over.
Dominating performance.
Killing 4 heroes outright.
Thanks for playing Dota 2.
So really keeping in mind that what is the key for your team and especially for yourself, that what your hero is good at, and that way you can address the team fights properly. Now let's look at taking the Aegis. So, how to take the Aegis, how to get the first Roshan, and how to use the Aegis. Usually the first Roshan kill happens between 18 to 25 minutes, depending on the heroes. If you have like Ursa or Huskar, you can take the Roshan earlier, but if you don't have the Rosh hitters, it's gonna be delayed. In general sense, you wanna have some sort of an advantage to get the Roshan. Like you getting a smoke play and you getting a pick off and then going into Rosh, or you win a team fight and then heading into the Rosh. Key to remember is that always have vision on the high ground, that the enemy cannot get the jump on you. Now let's look at some examples. Alright, we are here at Team Liquid versus GL. 18 minutes in. Liquid has a huge lead in this game. Roshan is top, and they want to get this tower that GL cannot be keeping in the here. So now they feel that they have a big enough lead, so they feel comfortable that they can take the Rosh. So now key thing is that we want to have high ground vision here, that the team cannot get the jump. So the Ember Spirit is going to be standing here, and the Earth Spirit is going to be standing here, giving Team Liquid some vision. Also using the illusions to give more vision and kite. This really blocks the GL of coming here. They're still trying to contest. As we can see, now they have vision, they know that they are coming, so they can be prepared. Kina Pain goes for the Aegis Steel,
guess.
but doesn't get it. And now the Team Liquid is in a commanding position
dominating
with the
performance.
Aegis and just cleaning up after one and another. And here's another example, Team Spirit versus Team Yandex. 18 minutes in, the Roshan is at top and having an Ursa on Team Yandex. Now, puck starts with a coil. Both teams want the Aegis, especially Ursa team. Ursa is very good at taking the Aegis. Gets a nice pick off, and now hiding. Before BKB, he doesn't really want a full commit, so he want to be soft committing and trying to get kills if possible. Now this looks very good for the team Yandex, getting 3 kills, and this secures the Roshan for them. How to use the Aegis? In general speaking, the first Aegis is for farming and taking the outer towers and Tormentor. And usually the second Aegis is only when you go high ground. Then you have a usually big enough lead and the items to go high ground. So generally sense, first Aegis, use it to build your lead, take the outer towers and Tormentor, and then on the second Aegis you go high ground. Now let's take a look at how to go high ground and how to defend the high ground. How to siege high ground. I have created a checklist that you can use in order for you to remind yourself what to think when going high ground. The first question is that do we have tower hitters like Klings or Drow Ranger who does good damage on the towers? If yes, you can make the check mark. If the answer is no, you really don't want to be going high ground. You want to be setting up good vision and waiting patiently on the low ground, controlling the areas that the enemy is forced to stay in the base, and at some point they will get impatient and get out of the base, and then you can get a pick off or a team fight, and then when you win that, you go high ground. Secondly, you wanna have the Aegis. Having the Aegis helps to secure the high ground push. It gives you an advantage since it's very difficult to break the high ground. Thirdly, you wanna fix at least 2 lanes, that you have 2 lanes pushing in, so that it's not so easy to clear the creeps and delay your push. And fourthly, check that if you have all the ultis up and BKBs up, so you have as big as an advantage as possibly you can have when going high ground. And to remind you to be aware of repositioning tools like Magnus or Podge's hook. This can ruin the team fight and the high ground push. Now let's take a look at one high ground push. Now here's an example from pro game Heroic versus Tundra Esports. Heroic is going high ground. So the first question was that can we hit the high ground? Do we have structure hitters? And we have Broodmother, Beastmaster, and Jakiro, which are very good high ground pushers. So the first question is yes. Second question is that do we have 2 lanes pushed in? The answer to that is no, and we do not have Aegis either. But I feel like they feel that they have big enough advantage with the 16k lead and the enemy teams carry dead so they can go high ground. Let's see how they execute this high ground push. They're putting the banner down, and Broodmother is actually gonna go mid to Rat.
I would like
The main push is here in the bottom, but Broodmother is ratting here in the mid lane at the same time. So they're pushing 2 lanes. Two lanes at the same time. It seems to be very effective. They can do this, especially since they have so many good power pushers in their team. Now they got the tower from the mid lane and tower and almost a full set of racks in the bottom lane, and this is a very clean high ground siege, and everybody gets off clean and they getting even 2 more K advantage. Holding the high ground. The key things to remember, first of all, is your positioning. How do you position your hero to be effective in the fight? Remember to be mindful of if your team or the enemy team has repositioning tools or heroes like Pudge or Magnus. If your team has Magnus or Pudge or some other repositioning heroes, try to play around that by repositioning the enemy heroes to get an advantage in the team fight. Secondly, having the right target prioritization in the fight. When you're engaging in the team fight when defending the high ground, it is very important to keep in mind the target you need to prioritize in the team fight. And if there is no way you are taking the team fight, you can always go behind the enemy lines and cut the creep waves. You can inform your team that you are cutting the waves, or you can ask your teammates to go cut the waves to get the backdoor protection. Now, let's summarize today's lesson. Gaining MMR can be difficult, but now I feel like I've learned something that I can take to my games, and I feel like I have a really good chance of gaining some MMR and winning some games. So let's summarize today's session. We started off by looking at the team fights. So thinking about, does my team want to take short team fights or long team fights? To answer this question, you want to look at your hero, and what your hero is good at. Secondly, you want to think about what stops me from doing that my hero is good at. And then the last question is that how do I fix that? This gives you a great blueprint for the team fights to execute properly. Secondly is how to get the Aegis and how to utilize the Aegis properly. Have some sort of an advantage, like having a pick-off after smoke, or winning a team fight, or having a big lead, you can go and take Roshan. But do remember, have vision on the high ground always. This will give you a great amounts of information and will help you that the enemy cannot surprise you. Thirdly is how to go and defend high ground. The checklist was that does my team have tower hitters? Secondly is having the 2 lanes pushing in. Do we have the Aegis and our ultis and BKBs up? If the check is always yes, then you can safely go to the high ground. But if the answer is no to any of these questions, there is no need to rush the high ground. You can place good vision and wait for the enemy to come to the low ground, since they will get impatient because they want to get some farm. So that is your opportunity to get a pick off or win a great team fight and then go high ground. And key takeaways for the defending the high ground. The key takeaway is positioning. Remember to position your hero properly. Be mindful of repositioning tools and heroes. Having the right target prioritization in the team fight is key when winning a team fight. And if there is nothing else to do, you feel like you cannot win the team fight, you can always go cut the creep wave and get the backdoor protection. Now, with this new information, I'm gonna go on Twitch and provide you some live gameplay. So on the next video, you will see me implementing and thinking about these things that I learned today, and hopefully I'll gain a lot more MMR. If you want to have fun and lively interact with me, come say hi and talk some Dota or talk about life in Twitch on my channel at TiirthaDeva. Now let's see you on Twitch.